The first time someone told me that Panama City had a skyline that looked like Miami, I could not believe that it was true. And it was not true, at least in the 1960s, for example. Now it is true. But in this video, I want to talk a bit about Panama's history and show you how it looked like in the past. Imagine you lived in the 1960s when Panama City's skyline was a modest collection of low-rise buildings with a few notable exceptions like the Iglesia del Carmen, the Cathedral of Panama City, but that was it. The rest looked more like a mix between Miami from the 60s and a little pirate town combined. Now let's start with the Central Avenues. Through time, there is no doubt that one of the avenues with more history and changes of the city of Panama has been the well-known Central Avenue 7A and starts from the 42nd Street in the town of Bella Vista and continues through the Santa Ana Park to end at the intersection with Avenue A in the area of Casco Antiguo. Throughout the years, the Central has had different names. In the plans of 1850, it was called Calle de la Merced and Calle de las Monjas. It also was called Carreras Nacionales and Calle Real. At the end of the 19th century, the first city tramway was inaugurated. By 1906, the city of Panama, compared to the 19th century, had expanded to the point that the Central Street was considered the main urban artery. In 1934, by law, it was named Central Avenue. So much can be said about this avenue, full of life and anecdotes. But the history of the old town, also called Casco Viejo, begins on January 21, 1673, almost 2 years after the sacking of Panama la Vieja in 1671 by the pirate Henry Morgan. In the months of November 1671, the new governor of Panama, Antonio Fernandez de Córdoba y Mendoza, suggested that the settlers settle in an area located in the area of Cerro Ancon, known as El Sitio de Ancon. The area was chosen taking into consideration that it would be easier to protect against future attacks. Unlike the old city, the old town was planned with a greater planning, which was in accordance with the laws of the Spanish crown and the mainland territories. Churches as a main square, government buildings, a defensive wall, and housing for its inhabitants were built. Since the first buildings were made of wood, very little was preserved by the original architecture of the 17th and 18th centuries. The only thing that has been maintained over time has been the size of its alleys, the layout of the area, and the open space that constitutes the Cathedral Square. Regarding the defensive wall, a part of it was demolished in 1856 to give us back some surrounding land. Casco Antiguo, like we said, old Panama, was not exempt from fires during the colonial era. Fires such as those that happened in 1737, 1756, and 1781 were the most important and even affected the economy of the city. The current Herrera Bolivar squares arose as a result of these fires, since the blocks previously housed several houses that were destroyed by fire. For unknown reasons, both lots were never rebuilt. The old town was declared a historic monumental site by Law 91 of 1976. It was in 1997 that it became a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. In recent years, the old town has undergone major reconstruction changes that have made it a favorite area for both locals and foreigners. Now let's talk about El Chorrillo, for many known as the barrio, the neighborhood with one of the highest levels of crime in the country, largely due to the various local gangs that operate in that sector. But of course, this area was never always violent, and it was expected to be even a point of great economic importance in the city in 1914. Its foundation dates back to April 29, 1915, date on which, under the administration of President Belisario Porras, this district was created, as well as the districts of San Felipe, Caledonia, and Santa Ana. The name of El Chorrillo is due to the fact that on the slopes of the Ancon Hill there were 3 streams of water, and one of them was known as El Cho, hence its name. The first settlers of the township were foreigners of Antillean origin who came to Panama to work in the construction of the canal. Thanks to this, it's common to find its culinary influence in some restaurants and food stands in this area. The worst setback this neighborhood suffered was during the US invasion of December 20, 1989, when most of the houses were destroyed while the barracks of the extant Panamanian Defense Forces were bombed that day. It took a long time to rebuild El Chorrillo, but it was achieved the following year during the government of Guillermo Endara Calimani. From this district came famous Panamanian personalities such as Robert Mano de Piedra Duran and the late soccer player Romel Fernandez. Now, the cityscape back then was characterized by its colonial architecture and traditional Latin American charm, with markets and beautiful, colorful streets. Fast forward to 2024, and Panama City skyline has undergone a dramatic transformation. The city now is a modern metropolis with a skyline with tons of skyscrapers and really beautiful architecture, but more modern. Now, the iconic F&F Tower, completed in 2011, stands as a symbol of this modernization, ringing up to 243 meters into the sky. One of the most crazy changes since then was definitely that Panama converted into the city with the most skyscrapers in Latin America. The monumental engineering feat has not only increased the tourism, no, many investors since then invested and came to Panama as well. Today, Panama is a vibrant and cosmopolitan city known for its stunning skyline, world-class amenities, and thriving economy. The city continues to evolve with new projects and developments, consistently reshaping its skyline and its reputation as one of Latin America's most dynamic cities.